everyone, and welcome to Two-Player Quest, where I help you on your quest to find the best two-player board games for you. In today's video, we have Lord of the Rings Journeys to Middle-earth by Fantasy Flight Games. In this game, you embark on an epic adventure in Middle-earth to defeat the evil that threatens the lands. You battle enemies and use your skills to survive in this campaign game. But how does it fare with two adventurers? Let's find out! Journeys to Middle-earth is a game for 1 to 5 players that plays in 1 hour to 2 hours per scenario. Now, there are several scenarios in a campaign, so it will take longer to play a campaign. It's at a 2.68 on Board Game Geek for complexity, so it's an easy to medium kind of game, and it is also a medium luck kind of game. Checks are done based on your deck, so based on cards. However many cards you draw is based on your statistics, that's your character statistics, those are fixed, but your deck can change as it is a bit of a deck building game. So you can up the odds of you drawing the right cards, but in the end it's still based on cards and luck. So, medium luck. This is what the starting setup could look like at the start of a, well in this case a 1-player game. I've set up my one character here, and you would set up the other character over there. On the left hand side we have fear and damage, or better said fear and damage. To our right we have the tiles, and then we have the monsters as well as some extra tokens and bits and bobs. And you can see here we have the app ready to go. Now, we're playing with Arwen. Here you can see our stats, special abilities, and this is our deck and our items. To start the game, you select a new game, select a campaign, so we're going for Bones of Honor. Then you select difficulty, we're going for medium, and then you select the heroes, and we're going for Arwen and Balin. Here you see what items you should give. We have the upgraded items because we already have a campaign going with Arwen, but I want to use Arwen and I'll show you in a moment. Now you gain some background and you can press embark. There you selected your roles. The app will tell you the story and tell you what to place where. For example, here you place 302A as indicated, and here you place the heroes. Then you place an explorer token based on the app and a person token, and you keep setting up the map until you can play the game. The game will tell you its objective, confront the thieves, and then comes the action phase in which your characters can do their actions. Now every character has 2 actions. You can either move, and you can move up to 2 spots, or you can interact with a token, a player, or do another action shown on the cards that you have prepared. In this case, Arwen wants to move over here, so uses 1 movement point and interacts with this. Here you can see she needs to make a test. This is a wisdom test. Now Arwen has 4 wisdom in her stats, so she draws the top 4 cards of her deck. This symbol indicates a success. This symbol indicates that it can be converted with a clue, and if there is not a symbol, then it is a fail. In this case we have 2 successes and we need 1. So we pass this test. We gain 1 inspiration and discard the search token. Now, she can continue on her movement. She can interrupt her movement. So she moves into here and reveals this area and gains an inspiration for doing so. Then it would be Balin's turn to do the same. 2 actions and then continue on. The game told us to spawn some ruffians, so I have done that. I have spawned ruffians on the indicated spot. Now that both players have done their actions, it is time to go to the next phase, the shadow phase. Here the game will tell you how the monsters react. In this case they move to attack Arwen or the closest hero. Now the closest hero is Balin, so they attack. And then Balin does a check to negate the damage. The threat increases by 5, as it does at the top here. Then comes the rally phase, in which players scout. Now I will discuss combat. So, Arwen is in the same area as the ruffians in this case. Then on the screen you tap the ruffians and you can see how much damage they have and what they need. So in this case they each have 5 HP. Given Arwen's items, she decides to use the leather string, which uses agility. 1, 2, 3. Here she has 2 successes, so she can hit one of them with a 3 damage stun. So she attacks with 3 damage and stun. Then you apply the hits. Now, with the stun, they cannot counter-attack, but normally all enemies counter-attack when attacked. When an enemy would die, you take their token off the board. The game will tell you what your objective is. You do this before your threat marker reaches the top. In this case, that is 64 for this level. Then you will gain your benefits from this round, so that's experience as well as lore. If a character were to reach their max fear or max damage, you'd go into a last stand, which can be done via the app. If they lose that last stand, the player dies and the game is over. Journeys to Middle-earth is an easy game to teach to new players. 5 or maybe 10 minutes and you can get started on creating your character and started on the game. I would recommend Lord of the Rings Journeys to Middle-earth to, well, first of all, people who like Lord of the Rings, the books, the stories, the films, all of this. If you want to feel like one of the characters helping on a quest in Middle-earth, this is a wonderful fit. If you want an app-based game, a bit like Mansions of Madness, then this is also great. There's Easter eggs in this game in the books. You can play with the characters you know and love, and the mechanics are, in general, quite nice. Now, if you are aware of how Mansions of Madness works, this game is very similar, but it does have a few distinct differences. And one of the differences we like in this game is combat. Because the combat in this game is, first of all, more prevalent, but it's also more winnable. It is part of the game, it's part of the fun. So that is something that is a good distinction between this and Mansions of Madness. We really quite like Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle-earth. My husband Tom is a bigger fan of Lord of the Rings. I've seen it once with him, but it doesn't matter. Not everybody, I think, has to be a big Lord of the Rings fan to play this game. There are Easter eggs, but if you don't get the Easter eggs, that's fine. You don't need to have any knowledge before you can play this game. We also quite like that it is quite easy sometimes, so you don't have to think about it too much, because you don't always want to spend your board game nights thinking way too much. We also like the combat system. We like that it's a bit more prevalent in this game and that it's a nice combat system. Now, the game doesn't come painted, but my husband Tom likes to paint, so we have painted miniatures, which does make the game a lot more engaging and make it feel a lot more real. Now, the game having an app is a pro and a con at the same time. We like that we don't have to think about stuff. The app just tells you what to do, but you do need a device to play the game, which is the con. Now, when it comes to replayability, the base game comes with several campaigns. I think it comes with 3 or 4 separate campaigns, and then all the expansions come with 1 or 2 extra campaigns. So if you like the game, you can basically keep on playing it without replaying it. But if you do want to replay it, it is pretty much the same. So the replayability from campaign to campaign, so if you do one campaign multiple times, is pretty much the same. So you can try it with other players and try different stuff, but it is very similar to the first try. So in that case, I would say the replayability is not that high, but you get so much to do that you don't have to replay it that often. This game works very well with more players. It's very well balanced, and it scales well with more players. If you have more players, you have more enemies, but you have more fighters to defeat them. You have a higher doom level, but you have more actions to try to solve it quicker. So it scales and balances very well. Now, for us, this is 2-player approved in 2 ways. You can either play it with 2 players with 1 character each, so that's 2 characters, but we personally like to play it with 4 characters. So we each play 2 characters, just because we like the dynamics a bit more. You can choose a bit more what you want to do. You can focus per character on what you want to do a bit more. So for us, this is certainly 2-player approved, but definitely it's also great with more. We have played campaigns with more players and it's still equally as fun. So definitely good for 2 or more. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching our review of Lord of the Rings: Journeys in Middle-earth. If you have any comments, feedback or suggestions, put them in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you next time on 2-Player Quest.